Hi, I'm Marna. Today is the Hi Barbie Collab and Challenge. It is a collab that Dory's Dollies and I put out as a challenge with a theme. This month's theme is Barbie DIY, Barbie Easter DIY. And yes, I used leopard print and black shoes for Easter. You know me, I like to be different. I'm going to show you how to make a super simple gathered skirt. Yes, I've shown this on my channel more than once. Also, a little gathered skirt that is sewn up the back, and we use a hook and eye, and then this cute little top. And I tell you how much fabric, it takes so little and so little time. What do you think, Darren? I did all of this in a half hour, 40 minutes. And if you're a beginner sewer and you're one of the people that are telling me all the time, I would like to learn to sew for my dolls, today is your day to watch, because these are very, very simple and made for the beginner sewer. Okay, this is what you need to make 2 skirts for Barbie and the top. And the top skirt that we're going to use elastic with, the dimensions are 6.5 by 4, that's inches, and a piece of elastic. You know what? I didn't measure the elastic. Yes, I did. Whatever Barbie you're using for this, check the hips. Never take your elastic around the waist and cut it there. That's too hard on the hips. It's better if it's looser around the waist than it is tighter on the hips. And what you want is a piece of elastic that just reaches one of the other side, you know, thereabouts, of the hips. And you don't want it pulled tight, you want it loose. And the reason you don't want it pulled tight is because when you get your skirt together, you're going to have your seam in that, which will take this down a little bit, but you have the elastic give. You do that so that you do not break the seal on the doll's hips. When you find dolls that are floppy, their legs are just going everywhere, 10 to 1 that was broken by clothing that they forced on that doll and broke that hip socket. Okay, for the second skirt, we're going to need a piece of fabric, 7 by 3.5. It is shorter because we're going to not have the top seam. This will be covered with bias tape because that's the easiest thing for a beginner to use when making a gathered skirt, and we're going to hem that. The top is 6 by 1.5 inch. Couldn't spit that out there for a second. What we're going to do first is take the gathered skirt over to, this is the longer one, over to the sewing machine and put in a channel. What is a channel? You're going to fold this over about 1/4 inch, and then you're going to take it down just over the size of your elastic. And you're going to stitch that down all the way across your fabric. Then you're going to go to the other side and put in a hem. And I just roll that up a little bit, make it even all the way across, and stitch that down. Okay, take your elastic and put a small safety pin on one end and a larger safety pin on the other. This one is your anchor, and that stops your elastic from coming all the way through your skirt. Getting these started sometimes takes a minute. And then you just work this all the way down to the other end. These are so simple. Anybody can make these skirts, and I mean anybody. I've shown these so many times on my channel because I like to encourage people to sew. When you get to this end, you're going to gather your, let's take a little bit less on that end. Pull your elastic through so that it clears your sewing foot. Put this under your sewing foot, not your stitch. In other words, go forward 2 or 3 stitches, back 2 or 3, and then bring it on down to the bottom of your stitch. Now I did something purposely to show you. I did this uneven to show you what to do about that. When you're sewing and you get to this end, take your sewing foot and stop. Push that up even here at the very end, down by the hem, and keep sewing. Go 2 extra, 3 extra stitches back, and then finish. But do not pull that out of your machine. Stop, turn your foot around, and zigzag. That finishes your edges. Take your, of course, cut this off and cut your string off as you turn your skirt around. Cut this off so that when you're sewing, it's not in your way. And your skirt is finished. I'll show you. Okay, as you can see, that is not too tight on her hips. It is stretched out, but it is not too tight. And up it goes, and she has a new fancy skirt for Easter. And look at the back. Oh, I did want to show you one step. After your skirt is made, take your finger and pull that seam from top to bottom. What that does is it kind of finger presses it, and it pulls this out. You want to pull it this direction so that it doesn't pucker in like this. And I just do it by hand. Some people iron it. I don't see a reason. And then my end came out, and you don't really even see that little bitty pucker there. It's not a problem. Just keep going. Enjoy sewing. Yes, if you are making those to sell or as gifts or something, you may not want it like that, but really, no one's going to really look at it unless they're very critical, and then they're going to find something else anyway. So there you go. There's her one little skirt. Now I want to show you what I did on the top. I took this over to the sewing machine and I zigzagged. I hope you can see that stitch all the way around except for the bottom. I zigzagged the top and the 2 sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that back over the sewing machine. That finished my edges and will keep it from fraying. I'm going to take this back over and put a seam there. I'm going to sew that down right next to the zigzag. And I'm going to do that all the way around, and then we'll stop. We'll put in our darts, and then when we finish that, we will do the same. We'll take a zigzag under the darts so that we can press them down, and then we'll run our stitch over that, add Velcro to the back, and she will have a little tube top. On the other skirt, the one that was a little shorter, I took it over to the sewing machine and I put my hem in the bottom, and I did it just like this one. Back up the video if you need to remember. I just doubled that up, and then I took my sewing machine and I put it on the largest stitch there is, and I took my tension on that little on the tension knob all the way up to 10 or 0 or 9, however far your sewing machine goes. And this is how it comes off the sewing machine, and that helps. Sometimes getting that gather started is very hard. Then you separate the threads and you pull this down further, carefully, gently, or you'll break that thread, and I'm not a gentle person. And I always take it tighter than necessary so that I can ease it up and make it even, the gathering even across. And what we're going to do, let's pull her other new skirt off, is take the bias tape, which is the easiest to me for a beginner to use, and this will snap in the back. So this needs to be her waist plus your turnover. So you want to add about a 1/2 inch and then cut that off. And take your skirt. Do not cut your ends off of your gathering. Don't cut those ends off until you're finished. Take your bias tape. There's 2 sides. I don't know if you can see it in the back. One side is shorter than the other side. You'll see it when you have it in your hand. Always put the shorter side on the side you're sewing. And then I pin this a little different. Let's see how far I need to take that out. Oh, quite a ways. Okay. Sometimes I pin that and then I work it as I go. But this one I'm not. I'm going to show you how to do. See how you want to make that pretty even across your, you don't want to take it too far to your ends or it'll slip off. All right, so then take your short side to the front, open that up. This is so simple. And push your fabric all the way up to that fold, all the way up to the fold. And then you bring that bias tape down to your seam so that you don't see your stitches. And this is the way that I pin it, and I pull them out as I sew. That's showing a little bit. Let's look at that. Push that down a little further. I can also do that as I sew. And you want to watch your gathering as you sew so it doesn't pucker. You want it to gather, not pucker. And then add your next pin. Do that all the way down to the far side. And usually you'll either be a little shorter or a little longer. And you adjust that because you did not cut these off as you go or even as you sew. If your sewing machine moves your puckers, and sometimes it will, then you can adjust that on the other end. And then take it to the sewing machine, get your foot down, pull your first pin out, sew to about here, make sure everything's tucked up tight, and sew, keep going, pulling your pins as you sew. Okay, so here's her little skirt, and what we've done so far, I didn't get that just real even, and you can see I kind of messed up there on the stitching. I didn't get that just so tight. It's okay. Next, what I did was I took my zigzag stitch from one end to the other on both sides. Then I folded this over just a little bit and made a V. And that V is your closure. And what we're going to do on both sides, you see that V? What we're going to do is we're going to take this back to the sewing machine, line it up, and from the bottom of that V to the end of the skirt, we're going to sew that just below the zigzag stitches that we've made to finish our seams. All right, so here's our little skirt. I used a hook and eye, I don't know if you can see black on black there, to close it, and you just sew that right on the band. Sorry I used black, it's what I wanted her to have. And she even has black shoes for Easter. When everybody else wears white, wear black. See if I can get these little shoes on her feet. And next, what we're going to do is take our little shirt and we're going to put that stitch I was showing you. You just fold this over once. Why not twice? Because it would give so much bulk on a Barbie doll. They're so small. It would like stand out. So what we want to do is make this flat as possible. So we're going to go take a seam all the way around, finishing that seam, and then we're going to put our darts in. Okay, so here we are. This edge is still raw. These edges are finished. And what we're going to do is put this on our Barbie backwards, line it up in the back. See what I'm saying? Make that so it's in the middle. Come down here and pinch a dart. And that's about how big you're going to make that dart. About that large. And I'll show you how to do the second. All right, there's your one dart. And what you're going to do is go to the back, fold your fabric so that there's about this much space between. Just a little less than. See what I'm saying? You want your darts under the breast, and then you put in your second dart the same size as your first. Then you zigzag the bottom, pushing the darts towards one another. It'll come out like this. You zigzag, and then you finish your seam like this one. Okay, so this is what you have. Turn it over, and what you're going to need for beginner sewers. I really like the new thinner Velcro, but it's not as aggressive, and I fear it's going to wear down. So what we're going to do is just cut a little piece. Always, always, always put your hard side of Velcro away from the doll, on top of your fabric facing out, and your soft side will go to the inside. And the reason is, if this doesn't hook just right, that will scratch your, could scratch your plastic. So what you want is this side on the inside. So here we are with Barbie top, a little crop top, and two kinds of skirts that you can make. Thank you so much to Dory, who I do this every month with. We do Hi Barbie. You'll want to go by and see Dory's DIY today, as well as everyone participating. If you are participating, let us know in the comments so that we can come by and see your Easter DIY also. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe.